आइए आपको सीधे ले चलते हैं राइसिना डायलॉग, जहां इस वक्त विदेश मंत्री जयशंकर दे रहे हैं संबोधन।
Who will benefit if there is no order? I would argue that any country which will take risks, which will have extreme positions, which would, test the system, will actually use disorder to its advantage. I mean, we've seen in our own neighborhood, you don't have to be a big country to be a risky country. I have some smaller neighbors who've done a pretty good job at that. So, first of all, I think we should all, understand the importance of an order. Now, the old order, it was an order. It was a product of its times. But why I felt that its virtues were exaggerated was, I think the rule maker and the rule taker had somewhat different perspectives, because I also said in the same interview, if you were at the receiving end of some of those rules or the application of those rules, we had issues. And let me give you 2 or 3 practical examples. If you capriciously, if it suits your interest, somebody is good, not good, well, I'll make up my mind how they're going to do. And you apply that order to the same country on the same issues differently. Take Afghanistan, okay? So the same Afghanistan, the same Taliban, which was an outlier, was welcomed in the Doha process, was welcomed in Oslo, an outlier, was welcomed in the Doha process, was welcomed in Oslo. Apparently at that time people were okay with it. Today again we're going back saying, Taliban is doing all these not so good things. Now, if they were doing all of that, what was discussed in Oslo and Doha? You had a British general who described them at that time as, well, they are country boys with their own honor code. Now, so when it suits you to deal with the Taliban, they are okay. When it is not, they are not okay. You are an extremist today, you wear a suit and tie, you are okay. I think I have a problem with that order. Let's give you a second example. We all speak of sovereignty and territorial integrity. All of us agree. It's a vital principle. It's the bedrock of global rules. After the Second World War, the longest standing illegal, I would say, presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India. What we saw in Kashmir. Now, we went to the UN. What was an invasion was made into a dispute. So the attacker and the victim were put on par. Who were the culpable parties? UK, Canada, Belgium, Australia, USA. So, pardon me, I have some question marks on that old order. Now, I can give you many more. We speak today of political interference. When the West goes out into other countries, it's apparently in pursuance of democratic freedoms. When other countries come into the West, it seems to have a very malign intention. So, I think we need, if to have an order, there must be fairness. I agree with you, Dominic, we need a strong UN, but a strong UN requires a fair UN. A strong, a global order must have some basic consistency of standards. We have military coups to our east in Myanmar. They are no-no. We have them even more regularly to the west, where. They seem to be okay. So I think it's important to audit the working of the world for the last 8 decades and be honest about it, and to understand today that the balances, the shareholdings in the world have changed. We need a different conversation. We need, frankly, in that sense, a different order.
I move now to Dubai Abul Hol. The order-disorder dialectic is perhaps historically most keenly felt or pronounced in your part of the world, the Middle East. You represent an Arab voice, a West Asian voice on the panel. 100 years ago, Western powers began building peace, between double quotes, in the Middle East. They failed spectacularly. They're still failing. Now we have the paradox of an Arab country hosting and brokering peace between two warring European nations. How can we, and I purposefully use we here, do it better?
First of all, it's a pleasure to be with you all here today. And I have to say, hearing the sentence, 100 years ago, Western powers sought to bring peace to the Middle East, sounds eerily similar to what we're hearing today in the news. But the difference is, I would say, 100 years ago, what Western powers actually did in the region was not bring peace. It was enforcing colonial imposition, arbitrary borders, and governance models that were frankly parachuted into the region. They were not built by the region. And so what we see today is the result of it being not peace, but fragility. And it's a legacy of externally dictated arrangements that often ignored the political, social, and perhaps more importantly, economic realities of the region. But the paradox you mentioned is indeed striking. An Arab country and a Gulf country today is, in fact, attempting to broker peace.